The sun is out, the shadows are being cast. It has been a truly memorable record-breaking spree here for the MCE Insurance British Superbike visit here, right in the heart of the Midlands of the United Kingdom. This world-famous circuit that was a Second World War base for trainer aircraft. They never had the Wellingtons here, but the Lancasters here. They had the Wellingtons, but never had the Lancasters here. It was never an active airport. It was a training and holding airport for the Royal Air Force in the Second World War. Is World War number 3 about to unleash itself? Because 30 laps is what lies before them, and we are ready to go, and indeed we are now. Go, go, go. The breakers on, the drag up toward turn number 1. Who's going to get that whole shot? Good start there by green number 2, but around the outside comes yellow 77, and that's Carl Ride. Carl Ride around the outside takes the lead away from Glenn Irwin as they exit then from turn number 1. Good start there by Brooksy. Brooksy's there in 3rd position on the run up toward Beckes for this the first time. Looks like Lee Bob Jackson also got a cracking start there for the his new team there, or new tag team, the Rapid Fulfillment FS3 squad. The whole pack now on their way out of Becker's corner, heading down toward Brooklands. Brooks, Carl Ride is your leader. Glenn Owen in 2nd place. Brooks is there in 3rd position. In 4th place there, the McCambs Yamaha, and I would suspect that is Mackenzie, or is it, as they come back toward us now to complete this lap, and indeed it is Mackenzie that's running there in 4th position as they come up then to complete lap number 1. No mistaking the leader, yellow 77. Carl Ride it is that heads the way through at the end of lap number 1. So as they go across the line in the order of Ride, Glenn Owen, O'Halloran, Brooks, Eden, Jackson, Taryn McKenzie, Andrew Irwin, Ray, Buchan, Mossy, Bridewell, Vickers, Gino Rea, Francis, Hickman, Barbera, Stacey Ward, Graham Owen, Taylor McKenzie Owens, and Brian McCormack and Bjorn Esmond did not complete the first lap. The number 27 was out of it on lap number 1 by the look of things. So we go back then with the race leaders. The leaders indeed already 180 miles an hour on the run down toward Brooklands corner. Little scrub going O'Halloran now, looking and asking some early. Oh, he almost leans on Glenn Irwin as they went in toward that left-hander. You just may get a cigarette paper just between the shoulders of both. O'Halloran, who is now 2nd, having made the most of that to go ahead of Glenn Irwin. Brooks is there in 4th position as they come through, and that looks to be Eden who's running there in 5th place. Good start here by the 2 Paul Bull Motorsport riders, including Christian Eden, who's just hooked in behind team leader Brooksy. Ride, O'Halloran, Glenn Irwin, Brooksy, Eden, Taryn McKenzie, Jackson, Irwin, Ray, Buchan. Tommy Bridle moves up a place ahead of Mossy. Hector Barbera moves up a place ahead of Peter Hickman as we can stay with the race leaders. Such is the pace of the short circuit here. It's such an enjoyable circuit here, and we're just seeing a replay here of Jason O'Halloran and Glenn Irwin. And Glenn Irwin, he has time to just look across, just lazily look across onto the top of the helmet, because such is the angular lean by the McCambs Yamaha by his right shoulder there. He's looking actually down onto the top of the helmet of Jason O'Halloran. O'Halloran who secured that 2nd place. Remember, of the leading bunch, O'Halloran is the one rider who has not picked up a race victory thus far. He's visited the podium on 4 occasions, but on each occasion it is for the bronze medal step, and he wants to put that one to bed here. He's right there in the slipstream of Carl Ride as they go into lap number 4. The early lap being set there by O'Halloran at 53.703. He holds the lap record, which he set in the first race, which was a 53.342. There will be a response shortly coming from Carl Ride, and he will be running to his pit boards each and every time he goes past the start-finish straight here on the exit of Woodcote. He'll be told exactly what the advantage is, and it will be plus 0.22, I would imagine, telling him. And the battle by the 2 Vision Track Paul Bird Motorsport Ducati riders, and Brooksy still holds that 3rd place, but he was being challenged unceremoniously by his own teammate, and his own teammate Eden now has got Taryn McKenzie snapping at his heels, and snapping at McKenzie's heels is Lee Bob Jackson as that now completes lap number 4, and Ride still holds the advantage. 0.13 it was. 0.3, slightly more on this occasion from O'Halloran, Irwin, Glenn, Brooks, Eden. Jackson has got ahead of Taryn McKenzie, 53.632 the last lap, fastest lap to Carl Ride, and Carl Ride who set the fastest lap in race number 2, but still that record holder is the rider that is giving chase to him, and that is the O-show of Jason O'Halloran. Going back to Gino Rea, well down the order is Gino Rea, though he has got ahead of Ryan Vickers. Gino Rea up to 13th place, Vickers has gone back to 14th. Meanwhile, they are the leaders. McKenzie is looking to split the 2 Ducatis, the Vision Track Ducatis. He's done it. He's done it. No, he's not, because that was never say never as far as Iden was concerned. He just muscled his way back past Mackenzie to hang on to that place. But surely the warning signs are there that Mackenzie means business here, although him and Jackson are enjoying a feral battle. Ride O'Halloran and Glenn Irwin, the leading riders, 53.516. Now, Iden is the fastest rider on the circuit, 53.516. Brooksy, Taron Mackenzie, Jackson, Ray, Bridewell now up into 9th position. Andrew Irwin is back to 10th. Mossy holds station in 11th. Ahead of Buchan, Rhea, Hector Barbera and Ryan Vickers. Joe Francis moves up to 16th. We're back with the leaders. And looking to this first of the attacks, which will be on the Paul Bird Motorsport Vision Track Ducatis. And again, it coming in toward Brooklands Corner. But again, as he was on that earlier lap, his attack is being repelled. He's being held at bay is Mackenzie by Iden. Tommy Bridewell, he's going through there in 9th place. You've got Bradley Ray in front of him. That's a little gap before we can get to Bradley Ray as they come through then with lap number 6 completed of this 30-lapper. Ride O'Halloran, Glenn Irwin, Iden, Brooks, Mackenzie. Bridewell indeed has got past Bradley Ray. He has now gone past Bradley Ray in the melee up there. So Bridewell now up into 8th position. His last lap is such that he is keeping pace, exactly the same sort of pace as Ride and O'Halloran. That, in fact, if you look to it, the leading 8 riders are very much in the same bracket, around about 53.6, 53.5. That's the race pace being set at the moment. Visually, as they come down the Wellington Straight, 10 yards, 20 yards, then is nose to tail between Glenn Irwin, Iden Brooks, Taron Mackenzie and Lee Bob Jackson. But the leading duo have opened up a little bit of tarmac, and this could well be difficult for them to pull back. That's Glenn Irwin at least to chase in 3rd position, but at the end of lap number 7.2 of a second it was. I think it's going to be around about the same, yes, 0.18, but 0.7 of a second back on that is Glenn Irwin. Glenn Irwin is responding. He's picked up the pace now. It's Glenn Irwin, and he's beginning to bridge the gap just a little bit. He can see the carrot dangle before his nose, can Glenn Irwin. He's now going to give chase to that carrot and get across that 3/4 of a second. Then he will be on the case with the Osho on the McCams cross-plane engined Yamaha of the Osho, Jason O'Halloran, and Carl Wright got himself into almost a sideways slide situation there as he ran off the track onto the green tarmac, and he got away with it. He put himself into a bit of a tank slapper as he came out of Woodcote Corner and across on the green stuff at around about 140 miles an hour. Iden is well ahead of Brooksy. Iden is the leading Paul Bird Motorsport rider on the Vision Track Ducati. Iden is running in 4th place. Brooks has gone back to 6th place. The running order at the end of lap number 8 as they go across the line reads as follows. Car ride from O'Halloran, from Glenn Irwin, from Iden, from Taron Mackenzie, from Brooksy, from Jackson, from Bridewell, Ray, Andrew Irwin, Mossy, Buchan, Gino, Rhea, Barbera, Vickers. They are the top 15 riders. Visually, we can go back with the leaders. Tommy Bridewell's got to get across a small gap, half a second, then he will be in a position to start having a bit of a ding-dong with Lee Bob Jackson. That's going back a bit further on that sector. Barbera, the number 8080 with that distinctive gold lettering, the 8080 Rich Energy OMG on the side of that black fairing. But this is where we want to be, and Mackenzie now is ahead of Irwin. Mackenzie is on the ascendancy here. There's no two ways about that. New engine, it has been put in for this race here, and Mackenzie now is going to be up into 3rd position when they come through to complete lap number 9. Ride and O'Halloran will go through, and then Irwin and Iden have both been passed by Captain Cover. Well, Iden has, he's running their 3rd. Iden, but Mackenzie has gone past Irwin. Ride, O'Halloran, Iden, and then Taron Mackenzie. Glenn Irwin goes back to 5th place. Brooksy is there 6th. Then Jackson, Bridewell, Ray, and no change of those places behind. Back into points comes Pete Hickman. He's come back into 15th place, pushing Vickers out of the points back to 16th position. That last lap by Mackenzie was the fastest lap of the race at 53.472, just 0.13 of a second shy of matching the new lap record as held by his teammate Jason O'Halloran. A bit of a fight back coming here, and this, but Iden is really giving it all here to hold off the screaming cross-plane engined 4-cylindered R1 of Mackenzie. Now, Mackenzie will make the move now, surely. Well, when you lose that picture, we want to get up to turn number 1, because that really, that was Gino Rea, I think, getting into a huge, or was it Gino Rea getting into a huge moment there? But we wanted to see whether Mackenzie has made the move on the run. No, he hasn't. He is still there in 4th place. Iden still holds that 3rd place in toward Copse Corner. And Glenn Irwin has come back into the picture here, right on the tail of Mackenzie. Lap number 11, quarter of a second the advantage at the end of lap 10 to ride over O'Halloran. 0.4 back on that, Iden. 0.07, 8/100s is Mackenzie. 0.19, Glenn Irwin, then 0.6 Brooksy. Then as close as that, Jackson Bridle. Andrew Irwin now goes back up to 9th place, pushing Bradley Ray back to 10th. Danny Buchan comes up to 11th now, pushing Luke Mossey back 1 place. Struggling just at the moment is Mackenzie to dispose of that blue, white and red Vision Track Panigale, the V4 Panigale of Christian Iden. And what he won't want to see happen is ride O'Halloran start pulling away from Iden in front of him. He'll want to get past Iden as quickly as he can to give chase to the 2 leaders, Ride and O'Halloran. Absolutely delighted with that victory was Mackenzie here. So emotional was the victory that Mackenzie took here yesterday in that first of the 3 races. Can't ride every lap. He just runs wide of the apex, of course, there at Beckett's. It's not a mistake by Carl Ride. It's certainly a predetermined line because he does it on every lap. There's the very likeable youngster from Jackstyle in Nottinghamshire. Still holding that second place is O'Halloran. Iden is still in there with a shout of moving high. He's there third. No change for Mackenzie, no change for Glenn Irwin. Behind Glenn Irwin, it will be Brooksy. Is Brooksy coming back? What was that last lap for Brooksy? 53.7. Well, that was a good lap by Brooksy. And what we don't know, of course, is what's going on beneath them with the tyre wear and the available grip that is available for those particular riders. And Brooksy may well have had a predetermined plan not to go as hard in the early stages, and perhaps in the second half of the race, that's normally the plan that Danny Buchan puts into some sort of execution at some stage during the race. But Danny Buchan at the moment is way down the order in 12th place. But Brooksy, let's just see, he's got to get across 0.5 of a second to get closer to Glenn Irwin. And visually, it doesn't look as if he's doing that. What it does do visually, though, is look as if Ryder's going away with it. That was an increased advantage visually on the run down the Wellington Straight. 0.25, the clock told us at the end of lap number 12. We get this lap out of the way. This is lap number 13 as they come through to reel off lap 13. And O'Halloran is back on the case. Cracking ride coming here from Christian Iden. No way has Mackenzie got the inside or outside line here. The captain has not got this one covered at the moment. Captain Cover, the rider running 4th. Glenn Irwin, no change of the leading positions other than to say Buchan has moved up ahead of Mossey. So Danny Buchan now is up into 11th position. Mossey goes back to 12th. There's a game of chess that's being played out there on the circuit. Didn't get any sort of post-race reports from after race number 2 as to the conditions of the tyres that the riders were in. They were obviously conserving those rubbers. Carl Ride patently very happy with his boot, having done that pre-race that race simulation in pre-practice 1 back on Friday, and no complaints coming at all from his particular camp. It was Christian Iden that suffered the most in that race on Saturday with tyre degradation. Brooksy was reasonably okay, but it was Christian Iden that had the back boot chewed up, and it is Iden that's holding that 3rd place at the moment ahead of Mackenzie. Mackenzie is still he's not actually found the lock to put the key in, let alone turn the key to open the door. He is just sitting in the slipstream of the V4 Panigale, the Vision Track Panigale of Paul Bird Motorsport. No change of the leading positions, and Buchan has gone up now to 10th place. Mossey has gone up to 11th place, meaning Bradley Ray's gone back 2 places. Hector Barbera continues slowly but surely picking up points. He's now up into 13th place. Is Hector, number 8080. And Iden this time defends the inside line. And if that's second place, he's gone for second place. He's going to take it. Iden now takes second place. In fact, that was not, as I thought, Mackenzie having a go at him. He's actually gone past O'Halloran. So Iden is now up into second place, and behind him are the 2 McCams Yamahas. Iden has gone at second. O'Halloran is there third. Mackenzie is running 4th, and that was a nice overtake up the inside of O'Halloran. O'Halloran's going to come back at him on the run into Walcott's corner, but to no effect. He stays there in 3rd position. Ride Iden, O'Halloran, Tara Mackenzie, Glenn Irwin, Brooks, Jackson, Bridewell, Andrew Irwin, Danny Buchan remain as your top 10. Now, what is the gap he's got to get across there? He's got to get across 0.5 of a second. When I say he, I refer to Christian Iden to get on terms with Carl Wright. That last lap for Christian Iden matched, it's just 17th 1,000 seconds slower than Carl Wright. So he's very much on the case. Brooksy through the speed trap at 179 miles an hour again on the run down the Wellington Straight. Eden went through at 175 miles an hour. Wright matched him at 175.2 miles an hour. Taron McKenzie went through at 172.9 miles an hour. And Bridewell 174.3 miles an hour on the run down the Wellington Straight. Leaders now reel off lap number 16. Ride in McKenzie. McKenzie now ahead of O'Halloran. Winner of race 1 this weekend on Saturday. McKenzie is now up 0.6 of a second. That gap has gone up just a little bit, so perhaps we ought to be timing that differential between the first and the third place rider, because that has gone up to 0.61 or 60 between first and second, meaning that Ride is still slowly but surely inching away from the pursuers. Now, has McKenzie got anything in the tank here? He's got to get past Iden, and he's going to go here into Brooklyn's corner, not quite close enough to try the inside line. Just showed his wheel on the inside of the left shoulder of Christian Iden, but Iden just kept his eyes firmly into the corner, holds that second position. So it is the 77, the Bill Bay Suzuki, that still leads this one from the Vision Track, Paul Bird Motorsport Ducati from the two McCams Yamahas. Then it will be the first of the Hondas, and that will be Glenn Irwin. It will then be the second of the Vision Track, Paul Bird Motorsport Ducatis. That will be Brooksy, then Jackson, Bridewell, Andrew Irwin and Buchan. No change on that lap number 17. We are well and truly into the second half of this 30-lapper. If they're going to have any problems with the tyres, that would be manifesting itself, I would think, at around about lap 25 onwards, so still should be running reasonably safe in terms of plenty of grip available. Now here's McKenzie, again looks on the inside, but again not quite close enough. He's able almost to level under brakes coming into Old Brooklands, but then as they go back into line of stern action, got to see John Hopkins is here to spectate. Nice to see John Hopkins. Good to see John looking exceedingly fit and well. Sadly his career ending with that horrendous crash at Paddock Hill Bend, the top of Paddock Hill Bend those few years ago. Here are the leaders through. No change there. There is now. McKenzie gone through on the inside of Iden at turn 1. McKenzie has done the classic overtake here. Now, that means that Iden is going to come under pressure also from O'Halloran, but that is the overtake. A clean overtake is the overtake that is normally favoured there by Carl Wright, but when you're leading, you've not got anybody to overtake, but that was emulated there by Taz McKenzie, so he now is up into second position. He's got 0.8 of a second or thereabouts. He's got to get across all the time whilst he's been loitering behind Iden. Carl Wright has been trying to open up a gap, but I tell you what, visually it looks as if they are hunting him down. It looks as if that gap is coming back down here. Let's have a look here on lap number 18 as they come up with just time the gap between Ride and the new second place man, which is Taz McKenzie. It was 0.8 between Ride and Iden as they completed lap number 18. As they complete lap number 19, it is 0.97 of a second. So again, if anything, it's going out rather than condensing at the moment. Let's just see what Taz McKenzie has now got in the tank as we go in toward this second, heading up effectively to the final third of the race, 30 laps, and they are now on to lap number 20. No change other than to say that spectacular overtake by Taz McKenzie. I say spectacular, it was the classic overtake. Lined it up coming out of Woodcote Corner, then winded up to 170 miles an hour plus on the run up toward turn number 1, and then gently ease underneath the right shoulder in toward that right-hander, and that's exactly what he did. And Christian Iden now is hooked into the slipstream of McKenzie, and we'll be hoping to emulate that, to repeat the medicine back into McKenzie. O'Halloran still hooked in behind Iden, and then a little gap behind O'Halloran before we then get Glenn Irwin. But in terms of the lap time, that was a good last lap there. O'Halloran and Iden matching it. They were actually as quick as Carl Wright, but Carl Wright's lead now is a clear 1 second, 1.07 seconds. Lap number 21. Dilemma here for the producer of Eurosport. We get the closed circuit TV pictures. Do they concentrate on the race leader, Carl Wright, who is beginning to edge away, or do they look to this second, third, fourth and fifth place tussle? Because that is definitely it there now, because Glenn Irwin is back on the case. No mistaking about that. The green number 2 for Honda, Glenn Irwin in 5th position, is definitely in a position. Oh, and here's Iden going to be pushed back here. Iden's going to be pushed back to 4th place because O'Halloran goes through on the inside. Iden will try and come back on the inside of him. He can't. The two McCams, Yamaha Yamaha now goes second and third position, and that was just a move that was pure determination there coming from Jason O'Halloran to go through at Luffield in and Luffield out and in toward Woodcote Corner, and he's held that in toward turn number 1. So the revised picture now is Ride, Mackenzie and O'Halloran in back into fourth position from Glenn Irwin, Josh Brooks, Lee Bob Jackson, Bridewell, Andrew Irwin, Buchan, Mossy, Barbera, Ray, Rhea, Hickman, Francis, Vickers, Stacey Ward, Taylor Mackenzie and Josh Owens, the last of the riders still circulating. I think the Graham Irwin and McCormack are out of this one. Let's see, 1.1 seconds now is that gap that is enjoyed by the race leader, and that's at the end of lap number 21. 1.14 seconds. If Mackenzie's going to have aspirations of taking that top step of the podium, he's going to have to start moving closer, ever closer to Carl Ride, because lap times are lap distance is beginning to grow short for him. Fastest lap of the race to Carl Ride, 53.352. 53.352. That is actually 100th of a second shy of matching the lap record of O'Halloran. That's the sort of pace they're setting here. Perfect conditions here at Silverstone. Perfect day, but one exception, and that is the fact that you, the spectators listening in, are not allowed here to watch what has been a truly memorable, truly fantastic meeting. Not a boring race, not a race to complain about in any stage of the programme over the 2 days. What a cracking, memorable meeting this one has been, and hopefully you listeners will get your opportunity before the curtain comes down. We move on next 2 weeks' time to Walton Park, then 2 weeks beyond that, which will be early October, to Donington Park, and then on to Brands Hatch to wrap up the championship. 1.34 it was, and let's just see, 1.31. Just a marginal pullback there by Mackenzie, but that is just too little. He needs more than that with 7 laps and decreasing to go. 1.3 seconds he's got to get across. No change of the leading 16 riders. Indeed, no change of any riders on that particular lap number 23. Christian Hidden now is coming back at O'Halloran, though. He's not thrown the towel in by any stretch of the imagination. And Brooksy is giving chase to Glenn Irwin. That's got to be critical for Brooksy. Every position here is going to be critical whether Brooksy is going to stand a chance of taking this title. Tommy Bridle slips underneath Lee Jackson coming in toward Brooklands Corner, so that will be Tommy Bridle up into 7th place. Lee Jackson will go back to 8th position, riding the number 14 Rapid Fulfillment FS3 Kawasaki, but we have the leader through with the Bilbao Suzuki, and that is the number 77. Poor old Glenn Irwin, he's had problems with his transponder. It's not working again, Glenn Irwin's transponder. So again, we're going to have to just wait till they manually shuffle his time in. 1.38 still the advantage to Ride over Mackenzie. Irwin is in 4th place ahead of Hidden. So the two Paul Bird Motorsport Ducatis are running 5th and 6th. And that is not what the doctor ordered. Just wondering whether this might be the point where it begins to slip away from the defending champions, Paul Bird Motorsport Vision Track with the Ducati. Remember that we are at the halfway stage, and Car Ride, Mackenzie O'Halloran are looking for the big points. Glenn Irwin now moves up into 4th position, and coming into this final race today, Glenn Irwin, the championship leader, ahead of Brooksy by 32 points. And whilst he stays at Brooksy, he's going to be increasing that championship lead is Glenn Irwin over Josh Brooks. The battle, the in-house battle here, that is between the two McCams Yamahas, but it's to no effect if they're tripping over themselves. They're doing themselves a pound no good, because still Car Ride is lapping quicker than anybody else out there on the circuit. So much so that his advantage with 5 laps to go is now 1.6 seconds ahead of Mackenzie, who was only 0.07 of a second ahead of O'Halloran, 0.8 ahead of Glenn Irwin, 0.7 ahead of Iden. Then Brooksy 1 second back on that. Now Brooksy is going to come under the hammer here, because he is now about to be attacked by Tommy Bridewell. And that is something he does not need, is to start losing another couple of places in the final throws of this 3rd race here. Race number 9 cumulatively, with 9 races to go to bring down the curtain. The in-house battle of McCams being won at the moment by Captain Cover Taz Mackenzie from the O-Show, Jason O'Halloran. Car Ride, his advantage goes through. Another good lap by Ride, up now to 1.8, just lap after lap after lap. He's going quicker. He's lapping, I would say, about between 0.2 and 0.3 of a second quicker than anybody else on the circuit. Consistently is car ride, buoyed by the confidence that a victory can only give, and he indeed absolutely delighted with that race victory earlier on today. Second place yesterday, first place here earlier on today. If there was a man of the match, there's no doubting who would get that in the Bennetts British Superbikes. Certainly that would go the way of the very likeable Carl Ride. We're now within 3 laps of the checkered flag, and positions look reasonably set out there. No dramatic changes being thought here. Carl Ride is already coming through Luffield Woodcote corner. Still on the right-hand side of that tyre, 150 miles an hour, up to 170 now, up toward turn number 1. The one thing that's missing, of course, with Carl Ride, is one of his popular expressions from the Midlands, where he lives up there in Nottinghamshire, is me duck. Everybody's me duck. And he used to carry a little plastic duck on his bikes, on the headstock of his bikes. I've not actually seen that. I don't know whether you've seen it, Scoop, whether he has got a little plastic duck on his Bill Bay Suzuki, but he always used to carry that little plastic duck, the sort of thing you have in your bath at home. You know the one I mean, Larry.
I know exactly the one. No, he's adopted this nickname Youth for whatever reason.
Oh, that's a term. That is definitely a term coming from Jackstyle. If you remember the late Steve Henshaw, what did Steve Henshaw refer to everybody as youth? Hey up, youth. Everybody's a youth coming out of Jackstyle. So that is definitely a local colloquialism. So that's what his nickname now, is it, Youth?
It seems that way, yeah. So the good news is that Janine Ryder was last seen heading towards the bar, Fred. So if we're quick, we might just get our half a shot.
If you're quick, you might catch her on her feet. If you get there a bit later, she'll be flat on her back, I would think, as we see the final couple of laps here. And what a marvellous weekend. Carl Ryder's going to remember this one for the rest of his days. Ride, Tara McKenzie, O'Halloran, Glenn Irwin, Eden and Brooksy. Brooksy is intent. Just wondering whether they might hold a board out here to let Brooksy have that place from Christian Eden. Brooksy is the one running in second place in the championship, remember. He is the one that holds the slightly more advantageous situation than Eden, but I guess that they won't be doing that. It's every man for himself as they come in toward Brooklands for the final time. In fact, another couple of laps in, Tommy Bridle may well have clipped the wings of both of them, because Tommy Bridle has homed right in behind Brooksy as we have the race leader coming up now to complete lap number 29. 1 lap to go, 1.64 miles to go for Carl Ride number 77. He's in toward turn 1. Equally so for the two McCams Yamahas, McKenzie and O'Halloran. Equally so for Glen Irwin, Eden, Brooksy, Bridewell. Moss has moved ahead of Danny Buchan. Luke Mossy has moved up to 10th place. Buchan's gone back to 11th. Barbera stays there in 12th place. But we're concerned, we're interested, we want to follow now the progress of the number 77. He's got a couple of obstacles to go. He's got to make sure in toward the left-hander of Brooklands. He's got to make sure the double right-hander of Luffield, and then he is almost within coasting distance of the checkered flag. Just as he picks the bike up into a vertical position, that is where the checkered flag will be. And I think Brooksy may well have gone through on the inside of Eden there. Looks as if Bad Boy has gone through on the inside. Let's go back, though, with the second and third. Here's the victory lane, gents. The man of the match, undoubtedly, and Carl Ride, superstar Carl Ride, comes home. Well done, Youth. He picks up his second win across the line in second place. Tara McKenzie from O'Halloran. It's then going to be Glen Irwin. Will it be across the line for fourth place behind us? Bridewell did clip the wings. Well, let's just wait, because I think Bridewell clipped the wings of both Brooksy and Eden. I said that in another couple of laps he would get that place away. In fact, he didn't need those extra laps there, because Bridewell on the very last lap took both of the Paul Byrne Motorsport Vision Track Ducatis in fifth position. Tommy Bridewell coming home ahead of number 25 Josh Brooks, who did indeed pick up the place ahead of Christian Eden. Whether that was by design or what, we know not, but Brooksy just salvages an extra couple of points by moving ahead of Christian Eden. What he could well have done without there, though, was Bridewell just coming through on that very last lap. The overall, as they went across the line then, reading as number 77, Carl Ride. He got home by 1.5 seconds ahead of Tara McKenzie, who was 0.1 ahead of his teammate, the Osho O'Halloran. 1.7 back on that, Glen Irwin. 1.5 seconds back on that was Bridewell. Half a second back on that, Brooksy, who got home 44 1,000 second ahead of Eden. Eden was only 0.1 of a second ahead of Jackson. Then a gap before we then had Andrew Irwin, Mossy, Buchan, Barbera, Ray, Gino Rear and Pete Hickman picking up the 1 point. Outside the points, but finishers were Joe Francis, Ryan Vickers, Taylor McKenzie, Storm Stacey, Josh Owens, Tommy Ward, Graham Irwin, and I think Brian McCormack did go the full race distance. 24 started, 23 finished that race, but this a memorable weekend for the Ride family. E-up youth, as John Cooper would say, and that's a typical expression from John Cooper as well, but very much I remember the late Steve Henshaw, lovely guy Steve Henshaw, who, as I say, tragically lost his life in that production race of the TT in 1989, the same race that Phil Mellor lost his life. But everybody was a youth to him and Carl Ride, picking up on that colloquial expression. Well, it has been a fantastic meeting here. We can do it all over again in 2 weeks' time. We suspect, don't suspect, I think it's a foregone conclusion that the government will not be lifting the ban before then. So the recommendation is, if you've enjoyed it, to tune in to BSB Radio, brought to you by Kawasaki. If you've not enjoyed it, if you thought the commentary has been crap all weekend, then you can write in to complain, but I must warn you that the closing time for complaints was 2 hours ago. So just before we go back then to the studio and the final presentation, a great weekend. Well done to all of the marshals, the medics and everybody else. And remember, people at home, that you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. Let's go back to the studio.